Hello and welcome to the HR People Pod, the CIPD's fortnightly podcast bringing you topical stories and expert insights on issues impacting the world of work and the people profession. My name's Leah De Silva. I'm a Senior Programme Manager at the CIPD Trust. For those of you who don't know, we are the social impact arm of the CIPD and we work with brilliant people professionals to support people getting into work who are facing barriers. And joining me today in the studio, I've got two fabulous guests. So let's do some intros. Emma, over to you first.
Hello, good morning. I'm Emma Jayne. I'm the Chief People Officer for KYN, a later living care home company.
Fabulous. And Elaine?
And I'm Elaine Green, and I'm the Chief People Officer at Ogilvy for the EMEA region.
Fabulous. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
On a slightly less hot day today, because we have to reference the weather. We are British after all. It's a great episode for us today, and it's also a milestone episode. It's episode 50 of the HR People Pod. So let's give you a sneak peek of what we're going to be talking about. Later in the episode, we're going to be marking National Volunteers Week, and we'll be hearing from our guests about their own reflections of volunteering and giving back. We'll also be looking at the appeal or lack of appeal of becoming line managers. And we'll also be unpicking the latest labour market outlook from the CIPD. And we'll be exploring how organisations are balancing the need for growth in the future whilst managing costs. So quite a meaty episode. I think we should get into it as soon as we can. So let's start with our first topic, which is all about National Volunteers Week. National Volunteers Week takes place every year in the UK between the 1st and the 7th of June. And it's a real opportunity to share the contributions of volunteers up and down the country who support other people in very different ways, whether it's through community organisations, charities or other businesses. If you read our most recent CIPD Trust impact report, you can see that I think it's well over 1,000 people have been supported by some of the brilliant work that our people professionals do within the CIPD Trust programme. So do have a look at that if you haven't already. But let's talk about volunteering. So we know it impacts the individuals that receive the support, but I'm also really interested in how it affects you as the volunteers. Now, I mentioned our guests are brilliant. They're not just titans of the profession, as we said earlier, but they're really, really involved in the work of the CIPD Trust. So let's find out a little bit more about how you got involved in some of that volunteering work and what you get from it. So Emma, we're going to start with you. You've been involved with us for a little while at the CIPD Trust. Tell us a bit about that.
So I volunteered on the Aspiring HR Director programme, which I think is such a special programme to be a part of, having been an HR director for a long time myself. I sort of wish 25 years ago there'd been something like this for me. So as a sort of safe space and environment to talk to a fellow HR professional about my dreams and aspirations and what I wanted to achieve. And I've met two amazing, phenomenal young women on the programme, really talented HR people that just needed a space to talk to somebody. And since both have since gone on to higher level jobs, nothing to do with me. They work extremely hard. They're very, very, very talented. For me, it brought me outside of my own organisation. I think like nowadays, our jobs are very consuming. I work in a private equity backed environment. So that is really the bubble that I stay in. Yeah. And I really appreciated the opportunity to put my head outside of that and have the opportunity to mentor and coach in a different way. And it in a way, it brought me back to, this is actually part of my job. So I brought that back into the organisation. I'm not a directive manager by nature, but it really reminded me that coaching is so important. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed it, and seeing the impact on those two young women was really special, because we need great HR people, and they really were, and they were just having a little bit of trouble being seen in their organisation. But through gentle conversation and getting them to self-reflect, they did such a great job on themselves, and they got themselves there.
I love that. And I love that you took lots of that learning back for yourself into your organisation. And how did it shape you personally? Did it change the way you sort of showed up as a leader? I like what you said, that you're not a directive leader by any sense of the imagination, but did it change the way that you operated?
It really brought me back to what I think is one of the pillars of being in HR, which is listening, guiding, coaching. It created awareness of things that, as a middle-aged white woman, I'm not just not aware of. And, you know, one of the young ladies, she felt she was being marginalised because of the colour of her skin. What I really appreciated about her is I had a lot of stupid questions about that I just didn't, I can't see it through my lens. And she really helped me with that. She actually came into my organisation. I mean, I bored you with this story.
Not at all. It's a great story. So not boring.
She came into my organisation. We had a diversity and inclusion committee very much in its infancy, and she came in and she helped us frame it, guide it, made it safe for us. I think people are always worried about saying the wrong thing. You can't really say the wrong thing, I don't think, in that environment. And she just made us understand that's okay because you're learning. And what you're trying to do is make your workplace more inclusive. And sometimes that means that you've got to have some uncomfortable conversations. So she really normalized that for us. Which was really wonderful. And it's led me to a lot of reading. There's so much stuff out there. It's really interesting. I really appreciated her openness to helping me with that.
Yeah. And I love that two-way learning, because we talk about that quite glibly sometimes, that mentoring or that kind of safe space and discussion is a two-way process. And that absolutely evidences that. Has that been your experience as well, Elaine? Because I know you've been involved in the same programme, but some wider work with the Trust. Tell us about your experience.
Yes, I also mentor for the Aspiring HRD programme, and just echo everything you've just said about just the added value you can give to your mentees. And what I've loved is just how much I learn each time as well. So all of my mentees have had very different backgrounds at different stages of life, different types of industries. So I'm always really curious and fascinated to just hear about the context within which they're operating within. So there are some things that, you know, we've learned throughout our careers, just how you manage your career, how you manage stakeholders and things like that. But then having to think about, okay, but this is their reality. Everything I've learned, how do you help them with the advice and guidance you can give them to work through these challenges with what their reality is? It's not what your reality was. You've had your learning. So how do you pick out your learning points, and how do you help them to see and apply that learning to their own situation?
I love that. And a lot of what you've talked about there is crucial. Do you think volunteering in that kind of capacity is something that more leaders should do?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I really see it as a core part of my role, who I am. It's a kind of value set for me to always think about how I can give back and how I can grow others.
Right.
So I know some people will say, oh, how do you fit the time in? I don't see it as having to fit it in.
Okay.
I just feel it's almost like a calling in a way. So it's a part of my day that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gives me a break from the kind of chaos and complexity and everything that's going on in the day job to know, oh, actually, I've got an hour with my mentee.
Yeah.
It's time out for me to take a step back and think, okay, now how can I help somebody else? And you get to know them on a personal level. You know, that lady wouldn't have come in to help you if you hadn't have built that trust and that relationship with them.
Yeah.
And even when the official assignment ends, we always keep in contact. It's what I love most is when you get like a little note, like months later, say, I'm now doing this. I think, oh, that's good.
And I love what you said about the fact that actually it's an important part. It's an enjoyable part of your job. You talked about amidst the chaos and the complexity. It's a way to sort of step out of that for a moment. We hear that from lots of our volunteers, and that clearly rings true for you. And I think one of the other things you do for us, Elaine, is you volunteer your time to sit on the CIPD Trust steering group. So why is that important to you?
It's important because I think the CIPD is a really important organisation for our profession. I think it's important as HR practitioners to have something that we can anchor ourselves to and say, okay, I've kind of practically gained this experience on the job through learning, but having a body that says, actually, we also say that you're really good at this is really important. And I think the organisation can only grow and develop if we give in to it. You can't take out without giving in. And then I think now at this stage in my career and the experience I have, this is where I feel I can add value. So I really enjoy the steering group meetings. every time the kind of board papers come through, it's fascinating to see the range of work that the trust is actually getting involved in. And it's a reminder to me as why the trust exists.
Yeah.
It is to give back. It is to grow people. It is to grow talent. It is to get people into work. It is to ensure that we have fair workplaces. And then from just a practical point of view, that's the kind of role that I play as a practitioner in the field. Does this make sense? Is this the right direction? Is there anything we've missed? Like, how can we do better? So I think that's really important to gain those broader perspectives into the work.
I love that. I feel like you created a whole manifesto there for the trust. That was brilliant.
Right, yeah, that's what I heard.
Talking about the range as well. And talking about the range, because that is really interesting. You both are phenomenal volunteers. So Emma, at a conference in November, you spent some time with another of our volunteers, Gemma, who spends a lot of her time supporting some of our other work within the trust. She goes into prisons to support individuals getting ready for release and provides employability support, so work with their CVs and support for job interviews and that kind of thing. That had a big impact on you, didn't it? And led you to get more involved in some of our other work.
I mean, yes, as you said, I met another one of your fabulous volunteers at the conference. I was so compelled by her story. I mean, I couldn't take my eyes off her when she was talking. It was just absolutely fascinating. The work that she did was incredible. And I'm a big believer in that you never stop learning. And I think at my age, that requires you to put yourself outside of your comfort zone, because you've gained, well, certainly I've gained a lot of knowledge and experience. And when she was talking, I just thought, oh, this sounds phenomenal. And a bit scary. I don't know if it's something that I could do, but it sounds like one of the pieces of data that she shared is out of the 15 gentlemen that she had mentored inside the prison, 14 of them had gone on to get jobs. And then there was a disclaimer, the 15th wasn't her fault because of another situation. But I thought, my God, that's like nearly 100% success rate. Anyhow, she, as we left, I said, I'm really interested to find out more. And she said to me, this lady lives in the north of England. She said, I will come down to London and I will take you myself into the prison. I was like, wow, she's so passionate about it. Anyhow, I went into Brixton prison a few days before Christmas, and it was one of the most humbling experiences I think I've ever been through. And I was going in there to help a young man who was soon to be released. He was very young, actually in his 20s, and he was looking to secure a job. My experience of prison is really only through the television, through films and that sort of thing. So I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I was really well set up for what would happen. But standing outside with the families who were going in to see their loved ones was really, as I say, extremely humbling, particularly, I think, because it was Christmas, a special time of year. People want to be together. The programs that they have inside the prison to help them get ready for the outside were phenomenal. So we were able to engage for 2 hours in a really productive conversation. But it really struck me that, I mean, he'd had a couple of jobs before, but he just wasn't really aware of like almost the unwritten rules of the workplace, which we just know, but just why you wear what you wear, why it's important to turn up on time, come back on time from your lunch break. And he was very keen to forge relationships at work, and he was worried that people would have a perception of him. And it was really, I left there with such a full heart that day. It was really wonderful. So thank you for that opportunity. It was very interesting what you were just saying about your mentoring journey. It doesn't take much time in your work week, but the impact that small amount of time you give up is just phenomenal on another person, whether it's in a prison or it's on another mentor program.
So hopefully you found that as inspiring as I did. And I think if anyone is in any way, shape or form concerned about volunteering, hopefully that's allayed your concerns about the time it takes, what you get from it, and crucially the impact you can have. So do get in touch with us if you want to do more. Let's talk about another topic that is hot off the press this week, and I find particularly fascinating because it has seen quite the change. So this is some recent research that's been conducted. It was featured in People Management magazine, but Ipsos, Carrion and Box did a survey, surveying well over sort of 5,000 people about the role of line managers and how appealing or not they might be. And I was quite staggered by the outcome, in that only 15% of non-managers see management and line management particularly as an appealing way forward and progression for their career. Now that seems to have changed over the last few years, and I'm keen to understand why it's less appealing. You know, we know that managers are under pressure to deliver on lots of fronts, productivity, progress, but also support their staff with well-being. What's your take on that, Elaine? Because it is different perhaps to when we all entered the workforce and management was seen as the sort of holy grail. What do you think's driving that change?
I think it's a kind of change in attitude to work, probably primarily. So I think, you know, like certainly with my generation, work was seen as probably one of the primary things that you focused on and was really important, and that was going to kind of pave a career for you throughout your life, and at the end there'd be this nice glossy retirement type of situation that you'd hopefully find yourself in. And you know, most of your effort went into work, but I think now the expectation is work is part of life, and there are lots of other different parts of life, and each bit has to be rewarding for you. So when it comes to looking at your career in the workplace, and I think particularly the younger generations might be looking at the management positions and saying, that's a lot of stress for not much more money. Okay,
interesting. Yeah.
So I think the compensation has to be fair, because money is important. People have basic needs that they need to have met. So there needs to be some sort of incentive that makes people feel that this may be a next logical step in their career. And then the role of the manager needs to be one that looks interesting. It needs to look like one that isn't just full of responsibilities, but it also gives you growth and development and stretch. I think a lot of people, when they're promoted to the next level of management, they're promoted because they're really good at the job they currently do.
Yeah.
They're really expert at it. You know, no one can tell them how to do it any better than the way they do it. So they think, oh, great, they're ready for promotion.
Yeah.
But what we don't often think about is what else will they need to develop and grow in order to be a good manager and leader of people. And as we all know, it's probably why we're in this profession. We love people. You know, people are not spreadsheet, like they're unpredictable. So it's a little bit of a poison chalice. We love people, but then it's like, oh, that's different, you know, because we are all different.
Yeah.
So as a manager, you have to deal with all of that. And some of the challenges that people are more comfortable to bring into the workplace, and the support they need and the support they expect from the workplace, I think has changed over time. So as a manager, you're dealing with, yes, I've got the operation, I've got the delivery to do. I'm now delivering through others, but then I've got this team of people with all their individual needs and wants and desires. So I think that's one thing. And then the other thing is, I think when you move into management, each time you get more senior, it becomes a little bit more lonely.
Yeah.
So you're with your peers, and it's important. You know, we've probably all talked about the importance of belonging and feeling like you can be yourself at work and having a community at work. And then suddenly you get promoted.
Yeah.
So your relationship with that group of people you've been working with changes.
Yeah.
So I think we need to do more in the workplace for that management community to help them sort of grow as individuals. So who am I now as a manager, as a leader? How do I show up? You know, what's important to me? And where do I find my avenues of support? Who is my community? Yeah. Yes, it's my team. Of course it is. But then also as a manager, where do I get that support when I need it?
Really interesting. So there's a lot there around that preparation for that change in identity.
Yes.
Could be amplified and heightened potentially. Do you agree with that, Emma? Do you see that as being a pitfall of the potential management role?
I love what you said. It's so true. We were really conditioned to work hard, work our way up the career ladder. There was no discussion. That's just what was going to happen. That was the expectation on us. I think again through the HR, through the people lens, I've seen management become a much heavier thing for managers to have to deal with. I think hybrid working has become much more normal, and I think it's blurred the lines between maybe home and the workplace, and lots of other reasons. We have more generations than ever in the workplace now, so trying to understand the people that are working for you is really challenging. I mean, where I work, we've got one of every generation represented, and it's really fascinating. And in order to achieve that sense of belonging, we have to work really hard to understand one another. My background is hospitality and care. They're very social, very fun environments. So for sort of picking up what you were saying about then moving above your group of peers, it's even harder because there has to be a sort of line there, doesn't there? And I see managers dealing with mental health issues, wellness. Their job is not necessarily their be all and end all, as you've just said. And that is really hard to get your head around when you're thinking about motivating a team. And as you quite rightly say, people are promoted on their technical skills.
Yes.
And then we just assume that they'll be great managers. And of course they won't. Well, they will eventually. But yes, they need a lot of support. I think a lot of leadership ability, it's innate within you. And I think our job and our CEO's job is to get really good at identifying the people that can grow those skills, because it's not for everybody.
Agreed.
I've noticed probably about 25% of our workforce is probably Gen Z now. We are not their only job.
Yes.
And working in care, it's for sure, it's a job you have to really love. It's part of you, but some of them have other jobs, other things that they want to be doing. I think wellness and fitness has become a huge part of people's lives, and they really want to prioritize that along with sleep, seeing their friends, being with their families as well. So I think for people our age, so I'm lumping you in with my age, it's very hard to get your head around that, because I'm still of the mindset that my job is my North Star in a way. It's what I have to keep working towards.
It is challenging. So it sounds like, from what we're hearing, find your community, try and combat that isolation. And leadership is not for everyone. So it's up to leadership teams, people, professionals, to try and spot where that talent is.
And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think we've got comfortable with saying it's okay if you don't want to lead a team. As you said to me earlier, Leah, before we started recording, there are other ways to grow and to learn. And I think it's probably a big part of our roles to carve out those pathways and normalise them.
We have to make that far more transparent and visible to them.
That's true. So it's a viable option outside of the traditional management route, potentially.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And it's okay.
Yeah. I think that's the big conversation is convincing, CEOs and senior people that's okay. Because I've often heard in the past, well, why don't they want to manage that team? And it's not for everybody.
No.
Well, moving on to our final topic, we're going to do a bit of a deeper dive into the most recent labour market outlook that was published by the CIPD in the spring. Not unsurprising, but many organisations are really focusing their key priority around cost management and cost control. And they've prioritised that above all else. So I guess the question for our brilliant guests is how do organisations balance that need, of course, to be cautious in uncertain times and perhaps lean more towards caution than expansion, but also not neglecting to invest in the right things for future growth, when things pick up? It's a difficult balance, but what do you think organisations should be thinking about? And also perhaps the role of the people profession within those conversations?
I think it's working with your leadership teams to help them have or maintain a longer term point of view. So cost cutting, cost restructions, it's very short term, immediate. Yes, okay, we know what we've got to do in the next 90 days, a year. That's all great. But then you've also got to remember that, okay, after the year, where will we be and where are we still aiming to get to?
Yeah.
I think helping them to understand the impact of the cost cutting of some of those initiatives.
Yeah.
So they go into it, we all go into it with the realization and the reality of what the impact will be of those cost impacts, because HR shouldn't take the brunt of those the brunt of those decisions. It's an organisation decision. And then it's using our influence to make sure that we are on the radar for when investment is available, that we get the fair size of the pie that we need to deliver on the people strategy, which underpins your business strategy. Yeah. So keeping those links very, very tight. Yeah, this is as an organisation where we're heading, and this is what is required from a people agenda to actually deliver that, and this is the investment that's needed. So whatever becomes available, you need your fair share of it. It's not easy to do, it's not comfortable, and it's probably one of those times where there she goes again. But I think grounding your conversations in the commerciality of your organisation will help to give you the credibility and validate that what you're saying is not just because, you're saying people are important. Everybody inherently knows that. But actually helping them to see the impact on the business performance is where the difference lies.
I love that. So the two are intertwined. You don't just pause the conversations. It's an ongoing dialogue.
Yeah, I really agree with what you're saying. It's a great opportunity for HR people to bring those two things so much closer together, to almost be the same thing, the business strategy and then the people strategy as well. I know that's maybe the dream, but I think for us, that's what we've got to try. That's what we've got to try and do. And I think it's where workforce planning's got to become so much more sophisticated, because we all know that those short-term cuts can be disastrous for us, but actually somehow we need to be predicting the future. Although our organisations may not look to us to do that, we just need to muscle our way in, and those are the conversations that we need to be having.
Yeah.
And I think prioritising as well.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but my people strategies are always very ambitious, and probably you have to kind of keep refining it till you get it to a point where, okay, this is actually achievable and manageable. So in that kind of environment where cost cutting and cost management is a reality, it's like, okay, so when we do get investment of all the things that we know need to get done, which is the most important thing, and then you fight for the budget and the funding and the investment that you need for that, and you get the accountability of the broader leadership team around that to deliver it. So again, it's not just a people thing that you are you're championing. It's seen as a business priority that everybody buys into.
I love that, keeping it simple as well, just picking one thing, because I think you're right, we are over ambitious, but that's just the nature of what we do in our sector. But just keeping it really simple makes it much more palatable, I think.
And I think it's often something that people think with HR and the people agenda, it's not that difficult. Sometimes the things we do may not be seen as difficult, but if you don't do them and you don't do it consistently and it's not anchored into anything, then it is very difficult. It does give you issues, and it does give you problems later down the line. So keeping it simple with, simple objectives, clear language that everybody can get and understand, and they can see how they can contribute to it, I think is really key, particularly in that sort of context.
Something that I like to talk about as well is consequences of doing this or not doing this. This is, what do you want it to look like? And I think our role is pointing out, well, this could happen or that could happen. Because as you said, I think, you didn't say it like this, but I think people think that the HR stuff just happens, and it doesn't. It requires very careful planning behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, I could talk to you both all day because we've only just covered 3 topics, but we could talk for much, much longer. But you've both been absolutely inspiring and super candid, which is really, really helpful. So we're coming to the end of the episode. It just falls on me to thank you, Elaine and Emma, for being so candid and for sharing your expert insight. I mean, I love, there's so many sound bites in there. I love that we covered pie, constant iterating, people are not spreadsheets, and that it doesn't take that much time to actually give back in a meaningful way. So you've been utterly brilliant. Celebrating our 50th HR People pod. So look forward to episode 100. Hopefully you'll both come back. We'll have confetti cannons or something to celebrate. But a big thanks from us, and a big thank you to all our listeners. This is a milestone episode. So if you've been with us from the beginning or you're a new listener, it's brilliant to have you. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to us, because there are new episodes that come out every fortnight, and it's been an utter pleasure to have you on. We will, of course, post notes and resources helpfully along with the episode when it goes live. But for now, I've been Leah De Silva, and this has been the HR People Pod.